Hey people in YouTube land, Zach Hall back here, and today we're going to be doing the second video in this installment of the series I'm doing of which Bible should I choose. And today we're going to be looking at large prints. So if you go to the playlist, I'll have this on there as well. The first video we did was on thin lines, why you might want to prefer a thin line or choose a thin line Bible. This video is going to be about large prints and why you would want to choose a large print. So I've got a stack here that we'll go through of different options and offerings that there are in large prints, and this is by no means an extensive list of Bibles here, but this definitely gives you a sample of different sizes and different things we can look at. So kind of first off, why would you want a large print? Well, many people, of course, as they get older, your sight starts to get more dim. Things start being more hard to see. You know, you may have an eye, something with your eyes where you can't see too close and you need something bigger, a bigger font. You may have glasses or something like that. Or you may just prefer a larger font. You want something that's easy to read. You don't want the hassle of reading a small font. Or maybe you're a preacher and you need to be able to see your Bible from the pulpit. And some of these small fonts and thin lines and compacts and other things like that, and even wide margins aren't going to do it for you. And so a large print may be a feasible option for that if you're looking to read the Bible very easily, something that's comfortable on the eyes, and gives you a nice, clean, big font with really minimal distractions. Now, there are large print reference Bibles. I don't have any examples of those in this video. These are all going to be text-only large print Bibles. But we'll start with probably the king or the most well-known large print Bible probably out there right now on the market, and that is the Cambridge large print in French Moroccan leather. This is probably the standard bearer, mainly because as we open this and you get to see this Bible, you have a beautiful petite medieval Clarendon font that has been enlarged to a 10.5, and with the leading, I believe it's up to an 11.5 point font. It's very dark, printed on white paper, so there's a good contrast between the paper and the font. Bold font, very nice. Spacing is decent. Sometimes it can get a little cramped, but for the most part, you can still see a lot of white spaces in between the words and the lines. But there are definitely times where this thing gets a little close for comfort. However, this is the standard probably in large prints. Everything has been made compared to this, and because not only does it have a nice large font, but it's in a very carryable size. Okay, so here's my hand. I by no means have big hands at all. So you can see it's just, you know, a little bit bigger than my hand. So it's easy to carry, very easy to hold. If you have this in the pulpit, it doesn't take up much space. If you're holding this in the pew, it won't really tire your hands out because it's not that large of a Bible. And yet you get a beautiful 10-point font. Now again, just to show you why somebody maybe would want to go a large print direction, I'll get a compact Bible I had that I used for a while. Okay, this is the Holman Compact. And we'll try to zoom in here and get you a better look at the fonts. So you can see the Holman Compact is about a 7 or 6 point font. And on the right side there, the Cambridge, you have a 10.5 bold font. So there's not even a comparison really. So I'll flip this page over. Maybe that'll give us a better look at it. There you go. And so you can see if you had aging eyes, as we zoom out to kind of what it would look like normally, or you just don't want to deal with a small font, you're definitely going to favor the large print. And then even comparing it to thin lines like we had last time, thin lines offer the ability to have portability, and they're getting better at large print fonts. And we'll look at a couple, but here's a standard thin line from Holman compared to the Cambridge large print. So you can see there's really just no comparison. Verse numbers are way bigger, the font's way bigger. Now, the Holman is bold, so it does have that going for it. It does make it look a little bit larger than it actually is. But if you look at the comparison of these sizes, the Cambridge large print is actually the same footprint as far as height and width, but it is a little bit thicker. So again, it gives you something good, manageable to carry. One other comparison I'll do, this one has gone extinct, but at least it gives you an idea of why somebody would maybe want a large print. So this is the old Thomas Nelson thin line. And you can see, again, just no comparison to be had here. I mean, if you want something that's comfortable to read, the Cambridge large print's going to win most of the times. But you can see the thin line is a lot thinner So again, that's why people maybe would want to have a thin line, but you can check that video out if you want. So this is probably the standard bearer. This is what we'll compare everything else to. I haven't got the TBS Windsor large print yet. That would probably be the only other one that I think is going to be the main rival to this as far as for a large print Bible. Now, again, I don't have any reference Bibles. So I know there's things like the long primer, the turquoise, and stuff like that. That probably would definitely be a very good comparison and maybe even beat the Cambridge large print. But as far as talking about text-only large prints, we're going to say this is pretty much the standard. And so we'll compare some others to it as well. Now, if you want something that's even smaller, more in a hand-sized, honest to goodness, you can't beat the Bering Precious Seed hand-sized Bible. Now, another cool thing about the Bering Precious Seed, as we compare it to the Cambridge here, is it's actually very comparable to the French Moroccan leather, but it's very soft due to the fact that Bering Precious Seed uses an imitation or sometimes a polyurethane liner on the inside. And this is a hand-sized Bible. So it is slightly smaller than the Cambridge large print. So you can see that there. And it's about the same thickness. The Bering Precious Seed may be just a touch thicker. On the inside of this, now Bering Precious Seed has updated their font, so it's a 10-point font. It's even bigger than this, or it looks bigger than this. This was just a Times New Roman font. Now they use a new font, which I'll show you in their large print, which I also have here. But know that the font is different than this one. It's a little bit bigger, a little bit more crisp, and easier to read. But again, this is a hand size, and this goes for, I believe, $40 on their website, whereas the Cambridge large print retails about $120. You can find it, though, many places for around $80. So for half the price, you get an actual edge-line Bible with a comparable font. So we'll throw those up together. So you can see they're pretty close. They're a lot closer than the thin lines. The Bering Precious Seed obviously is a little bit smaller than the Cambridge, but not by much. Not by much. You have a nice margin in both these Bibles on the outside to make it very readable, and on the inside. You can see the Cambridge is definitely a lot more bold. And so this is another offering you may want to look at as a large print. If you want something that's easy to carry, you can't really go wrong with the Bering Precious Seed hand size. This is going to be an awesome Bible to carry to church and hold for long periods of time. And this thing just melts like butter over time as far as the leather cover. Now, another offering that's come out recently in the thin line category, but this also doubles as a large print, is the Thomas Nelson large print thin line. So again, if you want something that's maybe more thin to carry, you like a thin Bible, this probably would be your best option. This thing is just amazing. It's an inch thick, and yet you get a very beautiful dark font with large verse numbers. So compare that to the Cambridge. So it looks to my eye, at least on this video, and here as I'm looking at it, that the Cambridge is still slightly, ever so slightly bigger than the Thomas Nelson font. And the Thomas Nelson font, I believe, is a 10.5 point font. So you have something at least comparable. I think the difference in the look here is just the fonts that were chosen and the fact that the Cambridge is a bolded font. The Thomas Nelson isn't necessarily bolded, it's just dark. But you can see the verse numbers are big in the Thomas Nelson, very well laid out, very beautiful font, and it's a thin line. Now, this is one of the rarer Bibles in this video that is actually larger in footprint than the Cambridge. Let's see if I can show you that. So you can see just ever so taller and just a touch wider than the Cambridge. Now, obviously, it's way thinner. So there's something to keep in consideration. So the Thomas Nelson large print is a thin line, is a nice Bible. It definitely fits well in the hand. I'll say its dimensions are awkward, maybe is the best way to put it. Holding in the hand does feel good, but it is somewhat of a little bit of a goofy shape. But it's a good Bible overall. I don't think you can go wrong with this. If you want something that's a thin line with a large print font, I don't think you need to look further than that one. Then here I have the smaller cousin to the Cambridge large print. This is the Church Bible Publishers 180 series. And these are the exact same Bible, except the Church Bible Publishers is shrunk down in footprint a little bit. So give you a look at that. So it's about maybe 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 inch shorter. And then on the side here, looks like about maybe a quarter of an inch less wide, but it's about the same thickness. So we'll open this up, and this is a 9.5 point font. Typically on large prints, you're going to pretty much start at 10. 10 is where large prints start. I know that maybe a lot of people would say 12, but I really think anywhere from, if you have a good 10 point font that's laid out well, anywhere from a 10 to 14 would be your large print range. Anything bigger than that would be giant print. Anything smaller than that would probably just be like a mid-size or a hand-size font or personal size. But the pagination on these are the exact same. So that's the reason why I bring these up. So you can see they're even pretty close in this camera. You can tell the Church Bible Publishers is smaller. But again, you have a lot more options in this. And with this variety, this is the hardback. It's only $10 from their website. But you can get a good leather-bound edition of this from anywhere from probably $60 for like their iron calfskin up to $140 for their buffalo edgeline full yap Bible, and then there's options in between that. So you can get a wide variety of leather, fully leather-lined covers for still a price cheaper than the Cambridge. So if you can deal with a slightly smaller font, this is actually smaller, a little bit more easy to carry, and it's a handsome little Bible. So next one is one that is also bigger than the Cambridge, but it's thinner. This is the Bering Precious Seed large print. So we looked at their hand size just a second ago. That has a pretty big font. This is their large print Bible, and this thing has a really big font. We'll take a look at this. I would almost call this a large print thin line. Bering Precious Seed doesn't, but this thing is almost at an inch thick. It's a very thin Bible. It's 7 inches wide by 10 inches tall, so it does have a pretty impressive footprint. And we'll open this thing up. So you can see how large this font is. This is definitely going to be the largest font I have for this series. You can see this is the new modern font that I'm talking about though in the Bering Precious Seed. So let me bring that hand size back real quick. So there's the difference there. You have a more modern, up-to-date font on the right, and then the Times New Roman on the left. So just know that if you get the hand size, this is the font that will be in the hand size, just slightly smaller. Now this thing is awesome. This was going to be my main Bible, but Bering Precious Seed accidentally had a printing mishap where part of Deuteronomy did not make it in the book for some reason. So there was like 10 or 12 verses missing out of Deuteronomy. Now that wouldn't stop me from using it in other portions, but it was kind of a bummer knowing, like, you know, you buy a whole Bible and the whole Bible's not in there. So, but they fixed that, so if you want to buy it now, all the verses are in there. Beautiful font, large point. I think this is actually a 14-point font. It's either 12 or 14. I don't know exactly, but that's what's sticking in my head. And as we compare it to this Cambridge, I think you'll see 14 may not be far off. Sorry, I'm going to go that page there. Yeah, I'm thinking that's closer to probably a 14. Verse numbers are bigger, the words are bigger. It's a darker font, but it's not as dark as the Cambridge, and it's not bolded. And one other thing that Cambridge is known excellently for is print consistency. This large print is going to be pretty much this darkness throughout. You're not going to have much print variation. In the Bering Precious Seed, since they're a ministry, this large print's only like $35. But with that, see if I can't find something here. There are some printing inconsistencies as far as the darkness of the fonts. Now, I was saying their large print, it definitely did get better. In my other older editions, there was some very noticeable differences. Well, so far I'm not seeing anything crazy bad. I know that when I used it, there was definitely spots where I could tell a difference. Yeah, it's not too much. This on the left part of the page is a little bit lighter than the right side there. But again, even on camera, that's kind of hard to tell. But there are spots where it's more of a gray font than it is a dark font. So just know that if you get the Bering Precious Seed, there may be print inconsistencies. But again, you're getting a $35 Bible. So very affordable, large print. This thing is amazing. Again, probably would have been my main preaching and use Bible had it not been for the the thing in Deuteronomy. So this is a great option for $35. Beautiful large print. It's probably more of the bigger side of the large print. So holding this thing, you might have to use two hands, but then once you got your second hand there, it's actually very easy to manage. So, but a very beautiful Bible. So there's another one. So this may be more, if your eyesight's going, or if you're a preacher and you prefer just a clean text only large print in the pulpit, this is where I would probably lead people. So again, if you're just getting older, or if you have some eye problems, this is a great Bible for $35. You can't beat this. So I think somebody would be really happy if they had that. Now lastly, and not really a comparison here to the Cambridge, but we'll do it just for the font size, is the Note Takers. This is from the KJV store, but it is produced by church Bible publishers and local church Bible publishers. Now, this is for those of you that want a wide margin, but you want a large print as well. For a very long time, it just seemed like in the Bible world, that was not going to happen. Large prints had to have smaller fonts in order to accommodate the larger margins. But then church Bible publishers and the KJV store here came out with the genius idea of doing a single column, verse by verse edition that allowed you to have wide margins on the side and less text. And this is a beautiful 11-point font. Okay, so it's a very nice font, but this allows you to take tons of notes, as you can see here. So you can take tons of notes in this Bible. It's spaced out very beautifully, tons of white space in the text. Very easy to read. That means that the spacing between the words is great. I mean, you can see I can almost put my finger in between the spacing of the words. I mean, that's how beautifully spaced out this Bible is. Just a lot of space. And that increases the readability of the font. So again, here we'll compare it to the Cambridge large print. And this may be a little bit harder to hold up for you guys because these two are pretty big. So there you go. So you can see again, the Cambridge is going to be bolder, but it's not as big as the Note Takers. But it almost reads as big as the Note Takers because of the boldness. But the actual font of the Note Takers is bigger. It's not bolded, but the Note Takers font is very dark. Okay. And then on size comparison here, this is slightly bigger than the Cambridge, width-wise, slightly taller, and one of the few Bibles that is actually slightly wider at the spine than the Cambridge. So, again, as you're trying to choose what Bible you want, you're looking through different options. This is another category to look at. Don't overlook the large prints. These are Bibles that are going to be lifelong friends. I mean, as a young person, if you get a large print or you're more inclined to large prints, don't regret it. Don't let the jokes of, oh, are your eyes bad get to you. I love a large print, and I'm in my mid-20s, and I prefer a large print on most days just because I love the ease of reading it. I love how clean the text is. There's just no distractions, and there's so many large prints now that are made that are so easy to carry. I mean, back even a few years, large prints were huge and pretty hard to carry. And so just the amazing thing with printing and technology is all these new Bibles that come out that have large fonts, but they're in easy to carry formats, So I would say don't shy away from it. Don't overlook this category. It's an awesome one. So while the thin lines are portable, they're easy to carry, they typically are not as great on font size. And so here, again, are just some options for you. Okay. So again, to run over these real quick from the top to the bottom. On the top there is the Thomas Nelson large print thin line. And you can find these pretty much anywhere from about $20 to up to like $120. There's a nice genuine leather edition of it. Then you have the church Bible publishers or local church. They have the same numbering system, 180. This is the Cambridge large print in a slightly reduced format. And again, this comes in many different leather bindings. So if you like this one, there's a bunch of options for that. The Bering Precious Seed hand size is a great font, 10 point. And again, with the new font, it reads even slightly bigger. It comes in burgundy and black, French Moroccan leather with an imitation leather liner. Then you have the Bering Precious Seed large print edition. Comes in a 14-point font, genuine leather. It's more like a pigskin. It's pretty rough leather, so you can hear there. So it's not soft, but it is a great Bible. Then the standard that we kind of compared everything to here, the Cambridge large print. Again, this thing was like produced in the 1920s, and it still is the standard today. Very easy to carry in French Moroccan leather. The French Moroccan leather is a little bit tough sometimes for opening it. So if this is going to be your main Bible, this thing will break in beautifully and lay flat over time. If it's not, it may still have problems opening up. And then at the bottom, you have the KJV note takers. Again, church Bible publishers, local church carries this as well. But if you want a wide margin Bible with a large print font, this is probably your best bet, is this KJV note takers Bible. So again, guys, this is why you would want to choose a large print. Just kind of summarize, there's a bunch of beautiful formats now, a lot in easy to carry sizes for bringing it to church, bringing it to work, holding it in your hands while you're sitting on the couch. They give you large fonts. A lot of them are clean text, no distractions, no references, just a good clean font to read every day, to be in your Bible, to spend time with God. If you're a preacher, this is nice to have because there's no distractions. It keeps the main thing, which is the text. So you can see the text easily, you can read from it, you can preach from it, you can reference things really quickly. And then again, if your eyesight is failing or aging as the course of life happens, large prints are going to probably be what you gravitate towards the most. And I just want you to know that there are a bunch of options out here for you. And I don't even have probably a surface sampling of how many large prints are out there. Again, another great large print option would be the TBS Windsor, the large print Windsor. That's a great Bible that I'm hoping to get my hands on soon. Would be a beautiful font and easy to read. And there's other great wide margins that have large prints have references in them. So other than that, though, guys, I hope this is helpful for you. Again, I'm trying to do this series for you. Maybe you're newer to my channel. Maybe you are looking for a Bible and you're trying to go through all of these things. I mean, there's wide margins, there's study Bibles, there's large prints, thin lines, compacts. What are all these Bibles and what do I choose? And so I hope these videos are really a blessing to you. That's why I make them. That's why I produce them. And so if you have any questions, please reach out to me. I'd love to answer it for you. But I hope you guys have a great day. Take care and God bless.